Year of the What is a romantic comedy by Jennifer Lieberman. It's an Amazon #1 bestseller. It was awarded the 2022 Global Book Awards Golden Medal for Coming of Age Books, the Ippy Bronze Medal for Romance and Erotica ebooks, the Scribblesworth Book Review's Best Rom-Com of 2021, as well as the Literary Titan Silver Book Award. Today we go behind the scenes with Jennifer and her book, The Year of the What. Don't go away, we'll be right back with the Writer's Corner live show. And welcome back. You are watching the Writer's Corner live show. If you just joined us, I'm your host, Brigitte Lambanda from Cape Town in South Africa. And today we're going to be talking to Jennifer Lieberman. If this is your first time watching the Writer's Corner live show, the show is brought to you by Creative Edge and StreamYard, as well as BeLive Media. So, a special warm welcome, whether you are watching us over on Amazon Live, if you are watching us over on LinkedIn, on Twitter, um, also on YouTube, a very warm welcome to you. If you'd like to give us a question or two or a comment for our amazing author today, please do let us know. We welcome your comments and questions. And even if you have suggestions for future authors on the show, please do let us know. We'd love to hear from you. One of the things that we're very passionate about on the show is helping people level up when they go live. Now, one of the things that the pandemic has done for us is it has introduced us to the different ways of using technology and I think embracing technology maybe in ways we wouldn't have done before. And so in the book world in particular, um, authors are going to be using, I think, a hybrid method going forward. In-person events are fantastic. They've been around for donkey's years. People love book signings, meeting the readers. But the big thing about going hybrid and promoting and talking about your book online is that you are making yourself and your book available to a worldwide audience. As I say, it's business without borders, business without doors. You can now reach a brand new audience globally. So here's just a few tips to help you be more successful online. Now, I know if you're going live to platforms like TikTok, for example, or Instagram, you're going to be using your phone in portrait mode, which is 100% correct because it uses the entire screen when you are live on TikTok and on Instagram. But however, if you're going live on any of the other platforms like YouTube, for example, or LinkedIn or Facebook, turn your phone in landscape mode. If you ever wondered what those black lines are on the side when you go live on YouTube or Facebook, it's because you are not using the entire screen real estate. Here's another quick tip for you. If you really want to connect with your audience while you're talking about your book and be animated, hold your book so you can page it, talk comfortably, get a tripod, any kind of tripod. I've got a bunch of them, the DJI Osmo, there's just anything. And if all else fails, if you don't have a tripod, or if you're in a hotel room somewhere or at a conference and you quickly want to just talk about your book, have some sticky tape it on the window because you want to have lighting come from the front, not from behind. That's a real quick fix, and you'll look great. So those are a few tips. And if, of course, you are going live using your laptop, you can invest in a great webcam. Mary and I both use the Logitech Brio. I love the Logitech range, and also have a pair of earphones handy so you don't get any background noise. So those are just a few quick tips and tricks that you can use to become successful online when you are promoting your books. So before we bring our amazing guest, Jennifer Lieberman, to join us, my friend co-host is Mary Elizabeth Jackson. She's a special needs and disabilities advocate. She's a ghostwriter, and she's also an award-winning children's book author. Mary, welcome. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. How are you? Let me clear
I'm
my
great.
throat.
I'm
I'm
great.
doing well. Sorry.
You need a
I'm
glass of water or something going on
I
there.
have it right here. Yes, I'm going to drink it here in just a second. I'm so excited to be here today, and we have one of our favorite authors on with us today. And we are so blessed for over 4 years of doing this, and I'm just every week never ceases to amaze either one of us. The brilliant stories, the lives, and how everyone got to where they are, and that we get to share them with the world. So, what an honor it is and a privilege to do this every week.
Oh, absolutely. It's hard to believe that it's been 4 years already.
I
So for those
know.
of you, I know. So we've had a number of people over the 4 years that has come on the show appeared on the show more than once. And Jennifer Lieberman is a great friend of the Writers Corner live show, and we are so happy to have her back. Um, she's a multi-award winning author, an actor, and a producer with a Bachelor in Arts and Philosophy, so she knows what she's talking about.
Just a
She's
little bit.
appeared in over 30 stage productions around the world, including her award winning solo show, Year of the Slut, which is adapted from her book, Year of the What. Jennifer also wrote a number of screen and stage plays, including the wacky web series Dumpwater Divas and the short films Leash and Details, which have screened on international film festivals. So let's not waste any time. Let's invite her to come and join us and share some of the things that she knows about the writing world and tell us more about her amazing award-winning book, shall we?
Hello.
Jennifer, welcome.
Hi, Brigetti. Hi, ladies. It's so nice to be back.
It's always great to see you. You look well. You look exceptionally well today. So thank you for joining us. And
Yes.
again, just congratulations on your awards for the year of the what. They seem to be keep coming in. And I
Yes.
want to ask you, success looks very, very different for each of us. So the fact that you've received and you're still getting so many awards, do you feel like you've kind of um, arrived and you can just sit back and not work so hard anymore? What does it feel like for you?
No, actually, I feel like I need to keep going while I have momentum. Um, it feels amazing. I need to pinch myself almost every day. And when I watch interviews, like, because I'll be going back and watching this one, I do watch the interviews and read the articles that come out. And every time I'm like, what? They make me sound so good, but I'm just like the normal, like regular Joe from Maple, Canada. Like, so it hasn't really resonated yet, or I'm not really affected by it. I just feel like the same girl, the same person that I was, a year ago, before I hit #1 on Amazon, before I won the awards. I think because I've been working on this project for so long, and I've given up on it so many times that it all just feels surreal. It doesn't feel real yet to me.
But
Well,
that's what makes it great.
congratulations.
Yeah, and that's what makes it great, Jennifer, because then you get to keep your integrity instead of your head getting so big that then it's like, because everyone loves that integrity in someone who is that's more transparent. For people out there who maybe don't know you, can you tell us a little bit how you got started as an actor?
Sure.
And how did that segue into becoming an award-winning author? Because not all actors become writers, and not all writers become actors.
Yes. So I guess it started way back when I was a little kid. I started writing like fan fiction scripts for shows that I wanted to be on. Like I was 8 years old and I started writing. They're called spec scripts in the industry when you write like television episodes for shows that already exist. So I was 8 years old and I was totally in love with Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. And I wanted to be his girlfriend. So I started writing. I would like imagine these scenes in my head of being like the new kid on the show. And that's kind of how it started. So even way back in the day, I always imagined like the only reason I wrote as a child is because I was writing myself into things that I wanted to be in as a performer. So that was always, they kind of worked together. And I started writing scripts in junior high. And by the time I finished university, I had like my first feature film that was like an adult, caliber, not like a child wrote it. And then, but I was pursuing acting all the while. I started pursuing acting in university and started studying, taking classes, ended up moving to New York. And I got in with a theater company and I was producing original plays for other people. And my own writing kind of fell to the wayside. At that point, I had written a few scripts, like even in New York, I wrote 2 or 3 more scripts, but they weren't feasible to get made. I was young. I was like early 20s, and I just didn't have the connections or the access to like the millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars an indie film would take. So I just kind of worked my way up the ranks in a theater company. Fast forward a few years, I was running the company. I was producing independent films. I had the confidence to move to LA. And when I got to LA, it was like crickets, it was hard to get a foot in the door. And especially when you have no credits and you're in a town where nobody knows you. So someone suggested, write yourself a vehicle, write yourself a show to showcase your talent, like in the movie La La Land, that like what Emma Stone did. I did mine before La La Land ever came out, but it's not an uncommon thing for actors to do, whether you're in New York or LA or whatever city you're in, to create a vehicle for yourself. And that's what I did. Nobody from the industry really came. Like I didn't have the outcome that I was hoping for, but I realized like I was super fulfilled as a creative. I got to stretch myself and push myself as a performer. And fast forward, the show went to New York. I won the Audience Choice Award in the festival I was in, and some people encouraged me to adapt it into a novel. That was another several-year journey of giving up and going back to it, and giving up and going back to it, and making a short film, making a web series, going back to it. And here we are today.
Wow, that is amazing. There's very few people, I think, that become that creative in their journey, as Mary said here. You've just done so much, you've accomplished so much, you've overextended yourself, and it's clearly paying off. You've clearly done something right.
Thank you. Well, you know what? If I landed a TV show or, I was getting cast in some movie roles and stuff, I never would have had the need to push myself to create. But when you're not getting picked, you either give up or you pick yourself. You know, I've been saying lately, this has been like my new phrase lately, if you can't get a foot in the door, build your own house. So I just started building my own house because nobody would let me in theirs.
That needs to be a
I
t-shirt.
really like that. I saw
Yeah.
somebody posted on Instagram, I think, you know, she says, if you're looking for a role model in your life and there's no one else, step up to the plate and be that role model for yourself. So it's very much along the lines of what you just said there. So
Yeah.
you've adapted Year of the What into Year of the Slut. Was that always your intention to go that direction? And tell us a little
No.
bit about how that worked. You know, was it easy? Was it difficult? Did you want to give up halfway?
Oh yeah. So even the show, so the show was first, Year of the Slut was the one-woman show. I played 10 different characters. I basically tailor wrote a piece that could showcase my writing, that I could be funny, but I could also be touching, dramatic. You know, the show has all the feels. It makes you laugh. It makes you cry. It makes you aroused. I had all those things in the show, and I got to play 10 different characters that showed my range as an actor. I played different ages, different accents, different affects. Because when you're starting out as an actor and you don't have many credits, you just get cast as how people see you, and how people see you doesn't necessarily honor what you're actually made of and what your true abilities are. So it started off as the show, and prior to that, I joke that I was just kind of like a victim of the roles that I got cast in, and they were mostly small roles, indie roles. A lot of them never even got finished or saw the light of day. That's not uncommon in the indie film world, that you'll shoot something and then it'll just never get finished. Like, I actually think more projects never get finished than actually come to fruition. So I did the show, and even though the people that I wanted to come didn't come, I realized for the first time in my life, I was so fulfilled. I was like, this is what I was born to do. I was born to perform. Because also as a freelance creative, you spend a lot of your time, like 80% of your time, trying to find the job, as opposed to being the creative and living in that, you know, in that flow state where you get to like create and do what you do. So that's how it started. Like, I never intended it to be a novel. I never intended to write a book, because a book, I can't act in a book. And at that point, I had only been writing things that I could perform aside from my poetry. Like, I've been writing poetry since I was a child. And of course, you don't perform poems, but I have performed them at some poetry readings or slam contests and things like that. So that's how it started. And then I decided, like, there was something there. So I kept going with it. I workshopped it. When it had some success in New York, that's when people were saying to me, like, the title is awesome. Like, the title alone, Year of the Slut, that's going to fly off the shelf. For women, a lot of women just relate to it. They just get it off the bat, because most women are uneasy. As young women, we're uneasy with our sexuality. We're uneasy with our sexual desires. It's like, you know, our biology is telling us one thing, society is telling us another thing. So there's that like constant battle, I guess, between like nature versus nurture when it comes to female sexuality. So I wrote the book, and like I said, I gave up on it several times over several years. I'd get jazzed, I'd submit it, crickets, wouldn't hear back from publishers, agents. I'd do a rewrite, I'd hire an editor. One editor was just the wrong fit. Like, she shut me down for 2 years. I couldn't look at the manuscript. Her notes were so harsh. And she was just the wrong fit. Like, she should have just declined. You know, she should have just declined the project, and I should have vetted her better, but I was unaware. how to do that at the time.
Right. Well, and that's really hard. Thank you for sharing that with us. And that was one of our next questions, was asking you about those hurdles and things. So how do you feel like, because you did answer that, because there was a huge rejection that you had. How were you able to bring yourself back? So for those out there who may be going through the same thing, like being rejected on any level as an author or an actor or writer, what do you think is one of the best tips of advice you could give them for resiliency and coming back, and obviously not giving up on themselves or their project?
Surround yourself with supportive people, because it was my friends who would remind me. They'd be like, whatever happened to that? Why aren't you working on that? When is that going to come out? Oh no, I gave up on it. Like, I can't deal with it. But you worked so hard, you put so much time into it. And eventually it was an old boyfriend who I just mentioned, like, this novel that I wrote. And he was like, what do you mean you wrote a novel? Like, where is this novel? And he read it. He read the manuscript. And he was the one who pushed me. He said, this is good. And don't worry about being a bestseller or being a success. He just pushed me to get it to the finish line, because just to complete it, just so it's finished. And I did, and I agreed with him. I was like, yeah, because with screenplays, there's so many screenplays sitting in my drawer that need millions of dollars to move forward. And this one was just kind of an easier push in terms of self-publishing. So yeah, he's the one who pushed me to self-publish it and not worry about the outcome, but just kind of get it to the finish line and complete the process. So that's what I did.
Awesome. Awesome. Good. I'm so glad that he did encourage you. So look for people to support you is the one of the key tips there. Just don't give up.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've just said that, you've gotten a lot of support from him. Where do your ideas come from? Like, what inspires your ideas?
Yes. So real life. So Year of the Slut, the original play, was loosely based on my experience, my first year after like my major breakup of the guy that I was like in love with and thought I was going to marry. And so it started off with that seed, and then my life isn't as interesting as the book. I wish it was. So just kind of borrowing stories and letting your imagination take off. And with writing the show, actually, as I started writing, because I played 10 characters, as I started writing these characters started, their voices started writing the roles for themselves, and I'd kind of sit there and because I was performing these pieces, I'd move around my apartment and figure out like, how would this person move, and figure out their accent. And as I started speaking in their accent, more of their story would come out. Like, it just unlocked things in my imagination. So definitely a combination of inventing, borrowing, but the seeds of what I write always come from something that I've experienced, even if the story evolves into something unrecognizable from my life.
So
Well,
what's next for you, Jennifer? I mean, you've already accomplished so much. Do you have any sort of projects that you're looking forward to?
Yes. So I have a few things going on. Last time we spoke, I was in LA and we were shooting a little short comedic film that I had written. So that is, the rough cut's done. We just have a few more tweaks and we'll be submitting that to some film festivals. So that's exciting. I also have a TV pilot that I'm shopping around. I wrote with a writing partner and I'm excited about that. I don't want to say too much about it, but that's super exciting. And I am currently raising money for my feature film. And I had some momentum with it prior to the pandemic, but then it was like a 2-year kind of standstill. So I've picked that back up and I'm moving forward with that. And we're hoping to shoot it spring of 2023. And then on the writing front, I am working on book 2 of the Year of the What series, which is called Year of the Bitch.
Oh, okay. So do you want to turn that into a series?
Yes. So,
Okay.
so I originally published it. I think I mentioned in previous interviews that it was originally published under the original title Year of the Slut, because
Right.
everybody's like, it's going to fly off the shelf. And then it was censored. It was censored from any ads on Amazon or social media. So being a self-published author, if I couldn't get it out on social media, and if I couldn't even advertise on the platform it was being sold on, it was basically dead in the water. So I decided to, after a lot of convincing and, moaning and groaning over it, I changed the title to Year of the What instead. And when I changed the title to Year of the What, well, actually, even before I changed the title, I knew it was going to be a trilogy, because when we're young women, if somebody wants to attack us, they call us a slut, regardless of if we're promiscuous, regardless of if we're a virgin, regardless of what our actual behavior is. When we're in our teens and 20s, that is the go-to word to attack a female. And as women get a little older and a little more assertive, the go-to word becomes bitch. As we become confident, as we become, maybe we work up the ranks in our job or in our career, and we have to delegate, this is a word that kind of is used to attack us. So that is going to be book 2, because I'm basically deconstructing words that are weaponized against women, whereas the opposite is true when it comes to a man behaving in that manner.
Right.
That's
It's very,
very
very
interesting.
unfair. Very unfair, very unbalanced.
And I like the word that you, I mean, I've never really thought of it in that way, but the weaponization of words against women is a powerful phrase to use, and so here's an interesting question. In your experience, have you seen that there's sort of an equality in terms of that kind of attack on women coming from both males and females, or have you noticed any particular difference?
Definitely. Actually, I think women get attacked more by women verbally than men.
Yeah.
I think women are so much harsher judging other women than men are. So yeah, especially like, when we're young and call somebody a slut, there's, some women have reclaimed it and joke around with their friends, but in high school, it's like a go-to word if you want to attack a female. And
A surefire way to kill your total reputation. And it's
exactly.
really hard to come back from that, even if you were to stand on a platform and say, hey, I never did this with Joe Schmo, and I don't appreciate, Lucy, Trish, and Deb saying something about me, unless you have that ability to do at school, you're never gaining your reputation back. And it's really very sad.
Exactly. Whereas men are praised, the more
Yeah.
notches they have on their belt, whether it's high school, whether it's college, doesn't matter how old they are. It's the more notches they have on the belt, the more of a man they are, and I'm not encouraging women to have notches on their belt. That's not the tone of the book, but the tone of the book is to find out what you like, find out what you want, find out who you are, because until you understand that, you're never going to be in a position to find the partner that's the right fit for you. So that's more of the tone of the book. And then in terms of like Year of the Bitch, as a producer, I've been in the position of power. I have to delegate. I wrangle several teams when I'm on a production, whether it's film or theater. Basically, I am like the top of the, the top of the pinnacle of the triangle. And then I have like, then I have my department heads, and then each department has their team. But I'm the one who's, like in charge of everybody. And when I was young, I didn't know how to handle the stress. And I'm sure I was a monster. Like, I'm sure I was a bitch, and I was really hard to be around. But over the years, as I've refined my skills and I've become more proficient and more comfortable, like I'm, I know how to be tough when I need to be tough. But I also know how to have fun with my job now, because I've been through it so many times, if that makes any sense.
Yes, absolutely. And I bet you do a fabulous job.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but whereas a man in that same position, if he's being harsh, if he's delegating, it's like, oh man, he's like a shark. He's got it together. But if a woman speaks to people that same way, then it's like, oh, she's a nightmare to work for.
Right. It's just still so unfair. So unfair. Just like it is on the radio between men and women, the music being played. If you sit and listen, you'll hear so many more males on the radio than females.
Well, and the other thing is, you brought this up, so I'm going to go there.
Brigetti.
Have you noticed lately that there's like this huge thing going on with all these pop stars, and it's like, are you a singer or are you a stripper? Like, because now, in order to be a pop star, I feel like you have to be a stripper. Yeah. And that doesn't apply for males in the pop space. And I'm just like, why do these beautiful, talented women have to be mostly naked, gyrating on a pole in order to sell their music? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
No, I agree with you 100% on that. Yeah, I don't understand it either. And like if a woman is overweight or large, and then she loses weight, then her after picture usually looks risque. Let's use a nice word. And for a man, if he has a before and after, I don't even know why I'm saying this, but it just came to my mind. If it's a man who does it before and after, he just kind of looks normal. I mean, he's got just normal clothes on, he's not half naked. So I don't know. It's all very, very unbalanced still. So yeah, I'm so glad you're out there tackling it.
Like, all the power to these women. Wear whatever you want, do whatever you want. But it doesn't seem like a choice anymore. It seems like a standard. And that's my issue with it, that it's a standard, not a choice.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, so many gems that you've dropped, Jennifer. Thank you so much. It was awesome, as always, having you on the show. We want to wish you all the best with the projects that are currently underway. And as always, we'd love to have you back anytime. When your next project comes out, we'd really, really love to support you. So thank you very much. Thank you for being for being such an open book about sharing your journey. We appreciate that. It's one of the things that we love about the authors on the show, and why we bring people like you back, because you share exactly how things are for you. Because how else do we get to benefit from each other's stories than if we really bring our true selves to the screen? Jen, thank you so much. Thank you to our amazing audience today. And whether you're watching this live or you're catching the replay, thank you to our replay audience as well. We appreciate you equally as much. So a huge thanks and shout out to you. Join us again next week for another episode of the Writer's Corner live show. And if you are watching us over on Amazon, go and grab Jen's book. It's in the carousel. Both her books are there. And we look forward to seeing another one. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.